Hello, welcome to another motivational, inspirational word for the day. All right, so today I'm going to talk about Psalm 107. That's where I want you to turn. That's the reference for this. Also, there's a proverb that said, mockers never understand wisdom, but knowledge is gained easily by the prudent, by those that have understanding. So people that are always mocking and making a mockery of knowledge are never really going to attain wisdom. But it comes easy to those that have understanding. So may we easily understand this and grasp it. So basically there's three types. I'm going to talk about distress. And from what I've gathered, there's usually three reasons for distress in your life. Number one, in the world you will have tribulation. Be of good cheer, I've overcome the world. That's what Jesus said. So number one, just basically inherent to the world is tribulation, is stress. It's normal in this world to just time and chance happens to everyone. There's going to be days when there's stress. There's going to be just bills, children, work, life. It happens. So there's going to be distress in your life. Number two, if you're a Christian, think about the book of Job. Satan strategically planned and attacked him. Strategically planned to kill all of his children. Strategically planned to destroy everything he owned. Strategically planned to turn up people against him. So as a Christian, you will enter distress basically because Satan has a strategic plan against you. It's not happenstance. Peter said, don't think it a strange thing, this fiery trial come to test your faith. Okay? The devil goes about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he can devour. So be sober, be vigilant. And then lastly, as it talks about in Psalm 107, there's distress that comes upon you because of forsaking God. If you look at the awesome, super blessed children of Israel, we know many times they'd be blessed, they'd be in their land, they'd be doing great. Then they'd think, you know what? I don't think we need to pray to God anymore. Let's worship these idols and Molech and these statues. Let's just abandon this whole commandments concept or praying to God. And then they would come under great distress. I read in the book of Isaiah where it talked about even if you plant a wheelbarrow full of seed, you're only going to get a very small return. Even if you have a huge acres upon acres of vineyards, you're only going to get a small vessel of wine out of it. Because you've rebelled, you've forsaken me, you've taken bribes or oppressed the poor, or just left off prayer and seeking God, your help. So that's the third reason for distress in your life. When you abandon God, you'll find yourself in a dire straits, and use those dire straits often to turn us back to Him. Okay, so if you'll turn to chapter 107 in the book of Psalms, you're going to see a cyclical situation occur. In one instance, it'll say, they wandered in the desert without food, without something to drink. They were famished. Their bodies were ebbing away. They were dying. And they cried out to God in their distress, and He heard them, and He delivered them. He planted them in a city. He gave them much to drink and eat. So give thanks to God because of His unfailing love. And then it'll give an example of they were bound in iron chains and bars, and they were in a dark place, and they were distraught because they had forsaken God. And in their distress, they cried out to God, and He heard them, and He broke their chains, and He set them free, and He brought them into a well-lit place where they had peace and joy and happiness and all that. So let's all worship God and give thanks in the assembly of people, because His love endures forever. And it goes on, and it gives several examples of being in distress and crying out to God. And not in one instance did it say God abandoned them and left them to the will of their enemies. Abandoned them, left them in their distress. So whatever form of distress you may find yourself into today, look at Psalm 107 and take courage, knowing you can cry out to God in your distress and He will rescue you. He'll flip the whole situation around. But take heed that once He's done that, don't abandon Him and give thanks. And maybe you're not in a time of distress. Maybe that's past tense. When you were late on your bills or you were unemployed and you cried out to God, and now look, you're caught up on your bills. You're not unemployed. Maybe you were sick, but now you're better. Maybe you had one of your children or yourself or a loved one that was getting off the path and now they're back. So then take this time to give thanks. All right?